So yeah, this week coming in with another devlog. Picking up from where I last left off. Last video I talked about how I was building my training set, basically by looking at the next frame of a competitive gameplay footage and then inferring what the move was from the next frame. So that hasn't changed. I've still been doing that to collect data. So one thing that has changed is I've gone from using tabular data to image recognition. This might be obvious to some people watching this, but I don't know. When I first started, I was like, okay, let me try tabular data, and getting more into it, I'm like, okay, that's not. I asked some advice on Kaggle and Reddit, and yeah, got a couple of responses saying, hey, you need to look at image recognition. So trying that. This is what the format was before, and I then moved to this format. So representing the same one hot encoded matrix now as an image. And you can see here that green was representing a filled cube, black was representing not, and then I was putting the next shape some in the little corner because I do think that's going to be really important later on. Anyway, so this is the images I was feeding. I'm using ResNet as the model to start learning. And already we're encountering some weirdness. And I suspect it was because while these images do convey the board, um, it's easy for the model to learn, like, oh, okay, like in a case like this where there's a cleanly separated shape, this makes sense. I understand why it's doing a weight action. Same with this one. In this case, there's a cleanly cut out shape. So it can learn why you would wait in this position. But then if you get into cases like this, it starts to get more murky. Like this is a case where it's not obvious where the currently falling block is. Like this could be a square that just touched that spot. And you still have half second. You can move to the right or left, or it could be like an S shape or an L shape that just touched down. It's really hard for it to know like why should I go left in this case and wait in the other case because it doesn't know. Oh, it was an L block touching or a square touching. So I iterated on this image format a little bit more. This is the current image format I'm using, and I'll explain it here. Basically, I'm using green to convey that I'm actually taking two frames into account. So whenever I build each image, I'm taking the current frame and the previous frame. And the green is saying, hey, in the current frame, there are new blocks here. And red is denoting that, oh, we lost blocks from the previous frame. And so I'm hoping that just that amount of information, it can start to pick up like, okay, where the current shape is. Blue means that the block hasn't changed from previous frame to this. And so you can see already like this now gives us nicely cleanly cut out shape. So in this case, this was a square shape falling and moving to the right. And so we lost it up here in the top left and we moved it to the right. So this becomes a really cleanly cut out shape. And this helps us start to, clean up the cases where it's all one big mass. In these cases, you could see this was a T shape that fell into place. T shape because, these two cubes here were saved, maintained. These two green shapes were cubes that were gained, and so it fell into place. This was an L shape. We lost these two blocks from the previous frame, gained two here. And so I'm hoping this is enough information for the model to start learning why you would wait or do a left or right in certain circumstances and not just be left in the dark. I'm still retaining the next shape on the bottom right here, putting it in a separate channel, an orange channel, and using a gradient on the backdrop so that if there is a shape falling in the sky, if it looks at the pixels around it, it can start learning, oh, this is a shape that's falling from the very top versus a shape that's falling near the very bottom. And you have more time. If the shape is near the top of the screen, you have more leeway than a shape at the bottom of the screen where it's, you're running out of time. So yeah, try and convey as much information as I can into this image. So where are we at? I still am encountering some challenges, but getting some promise. Here's a recording of what I consider to be a pretty strong game. In this game, it didn't actually close a line, but it played pretty strongly. Like as you're seeing here, this is actually playing close. I'm not a strong Tetris player, but this is playing actually close to what I think I would play at. Like it's doing some obvious stuff. It made a misstep with this S, but like, okay, it's like, okay, and this is the first time where in this game where it fails. And now it has a bad game. But up until this point, I'll play it one more time. Up until this point, it's actually playing pretty strong. Like building, okay, that's, yeah, recovers there, clean, put that on the right, put that on the left. Yeah, clean, all right, that's not so good, but clean. Yeah, anyway, this is a promising start. And then, yeah, I like this move here. Anyway, pretty promising. You can even see the shape, like, okay, it's actually building solid mass here, which is good. And then this is a recording of it closing its first row. And this is the first time I witnessed it do this. So game is going okay. I think it closes it pretty soon here. Yep, there it goes, it closed. So it's like, admittedly, that was a fairly lucky set of circumstances, but that still is promising because, you know, when I first started, it couldn't close the line at all, no matter how lucky it got. And now it's like, okay, with the right circumstances, it can get lucky and close the line with its current strategy. So my intuition says that just giving it more training data will help it learn its way out. I also have a hunch that I'm feeding it competitive Tetris gameplay footage, and the competitive players rarely get into a bad state. So right now, if the AI gets into a bad state, it doesn't have examples of like good players getting out of bad states. So it kind of flounders. Anyway, this is just a little promising, the fact that it closed its first line. And then the last screen here is, this is the accuracy that I'm able to get to. So when I first start out, you know, very beginning, I was playing with like 55 to 60% accuracy on my validation set. Now I'm actually routinely getting up to, you know, the high 70s and even 80% accuracy. The confusion matrix here, you can see that it predicts A for the most part when it's an A. It still gets a little confused when it's like left, right, or weight. But the cool thing is it's not confusing A for B as much. And then for B, likewise, it's getting I don't have a lot of B examples, but it's getting B when it's a B and not much an A. It's getting left primarily when it needs to go left, right when it primarily needs to go right. And it's most importantly, it's not making mistakes when it should be the opposite. Like I don't mind you going left in a weight situation. I don't want you going left when it's a right. That's like clearly a bad move. Exact same thing for a right. Like it's okay to go right in a weight situation. Going right in a left situation is really bad. It's able to solidly get most of the weighting situations, and that's because it's mostly given weight frames. So it's really good at knowing when to wait. In any case, I think this is promising. I'm going to keep going. I'm at about 100,000 training examples, and I'm going to do another training run tonight with like 120,000. So anyway, that's where I'm at. And yeah, all right, on to the next video. Bye.